Well, hello, my name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do the August the 27th Spiritual Principle a Day in a meditation. I hope you're doing well today. Hope you've had a beautiful day. The title of the meditation for August 27th, Discernment and Autonomy. Discernment and Autonomy. As we mature in recovery, we learn to exercise sound judgment in how we make decisions, place our trust, and meet our responsibilities. That comes from the Guiding Principles book, Tradition 4, opening essay. Step work, living clean, and the passage of time bring the gift of maturity to NA members. We gather practical experiences we take on various roles in NA as home group members, sponsors, and trusted servants. Each allows us to grapple with the meaning and application of the traditions in real life contexts and become more skilled at discernment as we do. We grasp how much tradition works individually and discern how the tension between them creates balance. For example, Tradition 4's assertion that each group should be autonomous makes it a favorite, especially when we want to validate any unconventional means of fulfilling our primary purpose. The tradition doesn't stop there unless we're trying to manipulate, and what follows provides some pretty clear instructions about the limits to autonomy, except in matters affecting other groups or NA as a whole. The other 11 traditions point to the kinds of things that threaten to do just that. Being mature and responsible members of an NA, or at least aspiring to be, we lean into discernment to sort out whether or not expressions of autonomy are in harmony with the principles of our traditions. To make sound decisions, we invite a loving higher power to influence our group conscience, as tradition 2 suggests. NA groups and communities arrive at group conscience by different paths, but we share some common markers. We come together in unity, we honor and include multiple perspectives, and we create space for honest and open communication. When we listen for the will of a loving God, we are practicing discernment. It pays off as we find a spiritual way forward, enlist trustworthy members to serve, and meet our responsibilities to provide them with the resources and support they need to carry out the work. I will review my personal decision-making process and be more discerning about how I contribute to shaping my group's conscience. Sound judgment, my own and my group's, is a worthy goal. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please, and thank you. Discernment and autonomy. So when we're talking about autonomy, we're talking about the state of being in which one operates, not anonymously, right? But we're talking about autonomy, right? So we're talking about singular, set aside by itself, right? And the ability to exert or influence decision making within that self state. All right. And generally speaking, autonomy is a word that can be applied to individuals. It can be applied to businesses, to groups, right? So if I say to a person approaching me about something, that I appreciate your opinion, right? But what I do is autonomous, meaning that what I do is affecting myself, and it's a decision that I'm obtaining for myself. And it's not anything that's hurting anyone. So why are you concerned? In other words, it's my business, right? So when we're talking about the group is able to carry the message and operate as a group autonomously, right? Meaning that some groups will do things differently in how they carry the message compared to other groups. The main thing is that the primary message of recovery is being carried. So the group on the South side may not carry the group on the North the same way as the group on the North side. The group on the North side may carry the message, but maybe before the meeting starts, they have a social hour where everyone brings something to eat. And they decide that that is something that they want to be a part of what they do. Is that carrying the message, right? It's not the primary purpose, right? To give people food, but maybe because of the community that it's in or whatever, that group has decided that we want to offer a meal before the meeting starts. The group may also have to decide, can people eat during the meeting? That same meal that had been served an hour before, can they eat during the meeting when the meeting starts? Or does it create a distraction? And is that distraction the same type of distraction as offering cake and cookies or pastry and cookies? And if it's not the same type of distraction, how is it different? Right? And so because that particular group on the North side is autonomous, it can decide how it wants to go about carrying the message. Now, the group on the South side, maybe every meeting they have donuts. Absolutely. There's 2 people that are assigned every meeting to pick up a dozen donuts or more. And they have absolutely no problem with coffee and donuts at the table during the meeting. In between the meetings, they don't put during the meeting, they don't put the donuts away. And I'm using this example because this is probably something that most groups do participate in some type of way in, having some kind of treat available, right? Some sort of food available. But the group on the South side doesn't get to look at the group on the North side and say, you know, that's a little bit much. You guys shouldn't be doing that. How is that affecting any other group? How is that affecting NA as a whole? It's not affecting anyone. Well, if you do it, then other people are going to expect us to do it. That's an unrealistic expectation. So if anyone is expecting the South Side group to do that, then they can just say that, you know, that's not something we want to do. That's an unrealistic expectation, you know? And so, and I'm using these names of groups in a sense, just to give an example of location, South Side, North Side. There's other groups that have those exact names, but I'm not pinpointing those or targeting those. I am just simply using locality that will show the difference maybe in how 2 separate groups, one on the South Side and one on the North Side, might do things differently, right? And so I just want to make that clear. And some people believe so much in the spirit of hospitality that they would never imagine not having something available for us addicts when we come in the door that would be refreshing. So what I'm saying, something like that, maybe instead of just offering coffee, maybe we should think about the people that don't even drink coffee. Maybe they would like some tea. Maybe they would like some ice water, some water bottles. There's different things that we can do. How about let's get into the format of the meeting. Some meetings, it's very important for the group to share that there's no cross sharing. Don't share using another addict's name or targeting anything that they've shared. Well, does that mean that you can't compliment a person and thank them for their share? Some groups are very strict with that. Don't compliment them and don't try to be negative towards them either. Because once you start complimenting, you open the door for negativity to be shared as well. And so some groups don't care about that. They are more like a family, and they are so comfortable with one another that they know that when people share, even if they say their name, that the intent is always going to be coming from a place of love. I've seen it with my own eyes where people really don't get offended when someone cross shares them. I think that it can create an unhealthy environment and should be avoided. But that's my opinion. What's your group's opinion? And so I want to make sure the newcomer understands that when we're talking about autonomy, we're not talking about anonymity, even though they sound very similar, right? We're talking about the ability to operate singularly without being influenced or impacted by other groups, and the ability to do so without impacting or influencing other groups, right? And it's a very sweet place. It's almost like saying we all have the same business, carrying the primary purpose, but what you decide to put on your shelves in the sense of the format or what type of meeting you have is completely up to you. The group, right? It's completely up to the group. Maybe the group wants to have speaker meetings every day. Maybe the group wants to have step study meetings every day. That would be up to the group. And if it's not to your liking and you're a member of that particular group, you would just go to area and express your opinion, right? Not area, but to your business meeting and express your opinion. And we create an atmosphere where it's safe to be able to do that at our business meetings, because every member has the right to express in a manner that's not threatening how they feel about something. So I hope that helps the newcomer. I know you old timers have your own views, and you probably, this is like redundant information, but I just want to welcome the newcomer and make sure that they understand that a lot of the things that you see different from one group to the next is directly related to this autonomy of each group. And you can't go from one group to the next group and poo-pah group just because they're not doing things the same way another group is. Go where you feel most comfortable, get in where you fit in, because there's always going to be room for the still suffering addict in our meetings. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you. I hope that you will have a beautiful evening. Talk to you tomorrow.